Assalamu alaikum. My name is Arvind Shahid and I am a student of Rayan School and I am a foundation level student. Welcome our live session. Today we are exploring fascinating topic air breathing life into language. Air is essential for life, but it is also the invisible force that makes speech communication and language possible. Without air flowing through our lungs and chords, words will never be spoken. Today, we will discuss the science, history, and importance of air in human communication. So, let's begin with Miles.
Yo, what's up?
Hello, Miles. Today, my topic is air breathing life into language. So, my first question is, what role does
Basically, the fuel for everything. It's everything just shuts down in a few minutes. Pretty wild how something we don't even think about is literally the only thing keeping us in the game.
why is air essential for speaking?
Think of it as the power source. You need that air pushed from your lungs up through your vocal cords to create sound. No airflow, no voice.
How does breathing help us produce sound?
I think you mean breathing, right? It's all about pressure. You push air out, it vibrates those vocal cords in your throat like a guitar string, and that's how you get sound. Pretty simple physics, really.
What happens in our lungs when we speak?
Your your lungs basically act like a set of bellows. They contract to push a steady stream of air up and out. If you run out of breath mid sentence, it's because your lungs hit a limit on how much pressure they can maintain.
So why cannot human talk without airflow?
Because sound needs a medium to move. Without that air, there's nothing to vibrate. It's like trying to play a flute with no one blowing into it. The instrument's all there, but you're just getting silence.
How do vocal cords use air to create sound?
It's all about the vibration. Your vocal cords are like two little flaps of tissue. When you push air through them, they snap open and shut really fast, chopping that air into tiny pulses. Those pulses are what we hear as sound waves.
What is the connection between breathing and voice quality?
It's the difference between a shaky voice and a powerhouse. If you're shallow breathing, your voice sounds thin or strained. But when you've got that deep diaphragmatic support, the sound is rich and steady. That's why singers and public speakers spend so much time on breath work.
Why do singers focus on so much on breath control?
Because they're fighting against gravity and time. They need to hold notes longer and hit those high peaks without their voice cracking or running out of gas. It's basically athletic training for the lungs.
How does air pressure affect speech?
Oh, it's basically the volume knob. More pressure means a louder, more forceful sound. Less pressure, and you're whispering or trailing off. It's all about how much air you're pushing behind those vocal cords.
What happens to our voice when we run out?
I'm guessing you mean breath there and maybe voice instead of wife. When you run out of breath, your vocal
Yeah.
cords stop vibrating. The sound cuts out, and you're left with that awkward gasp for air mid sentence. Pretty basic, but it's a total mood killer in a speech.
How might early humans have used sounds before language?
Probably a lot of guttural noises and raw emotion. They likely used grunts, clicks, and screams to signal danger or excitement. Long before we had a word for apple, they just had a sound that meant, look over there, food.
What role did breath and vocalization play in language evolution?
It was the foundation. As we evolved, we got better at controlling that air. We moved from just raw shouts to being able to manipulate the air with our tongues and lips, which let us create distinct sounds. That's how simple signals turned into actual words and complex grammar. It's basically the story of humans learning to play their own bodies like an instrument.
Why is speech unique among living creatures?
It's not that other animals don't communicate, but our level of control is next level. We've got a specialized vocal tract and a descended larynx that lets us hit a huge range of sounds. Most animals are limited to sounds to create an infinite number of meanings. It's like we've got a full orchestra in our throat while others have a single note whistle.
How do communication evolve over time?
It started with the basics surviving and staying together. It went from raw signals like run or danger to shared stories and myths, which let us cooperate on a massive scale. Eventually, we developed actual grammar and structure in a hypothetical world. It's a wild transition from just grunting at a berry bush to debating the meaning of life.
Could language exist without spoken sounds?
Absolutely. Sign language is the perfect example. It's a full blown language with its own grammar and complexity, just using movement and expression instead of air and sound. Proves that language is about the transmission of ideas, not just the noise we make with our throats.
Do different languages use air differently?
Still thinking on that. In a way, yeah. Some languages use things like clicks, common in some Southern African languages, where then you've got tonal languages. It's like the same breath, but the tuning is totally different.
Why do some languages have stronger breath sounds?
With aspirated sounds, you're basically raising your voice. releasing a little burst of air to differentiate one sound from another. It's a way to make things clear so the listener doesn't mix up two different words.
Language.
I think you meant aspirated sounds, the ones we just talked about. It's basically when you release a strong puff of air at the same time as the consonant. Like if you hold your hand in front of your mouth and say pot in English, you'll feel that burst of air on the psh. Contrast that with spot, and burst is way smaller. It's a tiny detail, but it's how some languages create entirely different words.
Which languages rely heavily or briefly sound?
I'm not entirely sure I follow. You mean like which languages have the most breathy sounds, or maybe ones that use a lot of short, clipped sounds?
Yeah.
For the breathy stuff, you've got languages like Hindi or some dialects of Arabic that use a lot of aspiration, that heavy airflow we talked about. You're talking about clip short sounds. Think of something like Japanese where the syllables are very precise and rhythmic. It's almost like a drum beat compared to the flow of something like French.
How does pronunciation depend on airflow?
It's everything. Pronunciation is basically just sculpting air. Yeah. You use your lips, teeth, and tongue to block or redirect that flow, which turns a raw stream of air into specific letters and sounds. You know, if you change the airflow, even by a fraction, you've changed the word.
How does breathing influence emotion while speaking?
It's like a feedback loop. When you're stressed or anxious, your breathing gets shallow and fast, which makes your voice sound tight or shaky. But then hearing your own voice sound like that, like actually tells your brain you're stressed, which makes you even more anxious. On the flip side, taking a deep breath slows everything down and can actually trick your brain into calming down before you've even finished your sentence.
Why do people take deep breaths before public speaking?
It's basically a manual override for the nervous system. By forcing a deep breath, you're telling your brain, hey, we're not actually being chased by a tiger, which lowers the heart rate and stops the voice from shaking. It's the only way to keep the lungs steady enough to project without sounding like you're panicking.
How does excitement change our breathing patterns?
I'm guessing you mean breathing patterns there?
Yeah.
When you're hyped, your body goes into overdrive. Your breathing gets faster and shallower because your brain is prepping you for action, whether that's jumping for joy or running away from something. It's why people often talk faster or run out of breath when they're excited. The lungs are just trying to keep up with the adrenaline.
Why does fear affect our voice?
It's all about the fight or flight response. When you're scared, your throat muscles tighten up, kind of like a reflex to protect your airway. That tension makes your vocal cords stiff, which is why your voice might go higher or start to crack. It's basically your body prioritizing survival over sounding good.
Can controlled breathing improve communications?
Totally. Mastering your breath is basically like getting a remote control for your emotions and your voice. You can stay grounded and breathe deep. You don't just sound more confident, you sound more centered.
How does breath control help?
I'm assuming you mean breath control and singers.
Yeah.
For them, it's the difference between a hit song and a voice crack. Uh, they use it to sustain long notes without shaking and to control the volume and tone of their voice perfectly. It's basically the secret sauce to not running out of air mid chorus.
Why our wind instrument depend on air?
Because they're essentially just tubes designed to shape air. Whether it's a trumpet or a flute, you're just pushing air into a column. And the length of that column determines the pitch. No air, no vibration, no music.
How does storytelling rely on voice modulation?
It's what turns a sequence of events into an actual experience. If you read a story in a flat, monotone voice, it's just a report. But when you change your pace, drop your volume for a secret, or raise the pitch for excitement, you're guiding the listener's emotions. You're basically using your voice to paint the scene in their head.
What is the role of pause and breathe in speech?
Pauses are where the real magic happens. They're like the punctuation of a conversation. A well timed pause lets a big point sink in or build tension before a reveal. Breathing speed is the same way. Fast breaths signal urgency or panic, while slow, deliberate breaths tell the listener you are in total control. It's the difference between a frantic rant and a powerful speech.
Why do great speakers master breathing techniques?
Because it gives them the power to own the room. If they can control their breath, they can control the pacing and the energy of the whole crowd. It's what lets them hold a long silence for effect without looking like they forgot their lines. Basically, they're using their lungs to manipulate the vibe.
How do respiratory illness affect speech?
It's, it basically puts a ceiling on what you can do. If your lungs can't get enough oxygen or are blocked by mucus, you're fighting for every word. You'll find yourself short gasps and losing the ability to project your voice, which makes speaking feel like a total workout. It's a real struggle when the tool you're using to speak is the same one you're using just to survive.
What happens to our voice during a cold?
I'm guessing you mean voice and maybe breath again. When you've got a cold, your vocal cords get swollen and your nasal passages clog up. That's why you sound congested and your voice might get raspy or disappear completely. Your body's basically just trying to clear out the junk, but it
How does asthma impact communication?
I'm
Miles,
not
can you
entirely
hear
sure what
me?
you mean by SMA. Could you tell me more about it? Loud and clear. Still with you. What were you saying about
So,
SMA?
can breathing exercise improve speech clarity?
Absolutely. It's all about stability. That if you've got a steady flow of air, your vocal cords don't have to fight for every syllable, which makes your articulation way cleaner. It's like upgrading from a shaky connection to a high speed fiber for your voice.
Thank you everyone for joining Air Breathing Life into Language. Today we learned that air is a so much more than sometime we breathe. It's the invisible force that over every word, conversation, and song and story. Language connect us, but air make the connection possible. We hope the discussion inspired you to appreciate both the science and beauty behind human communication. Do not forget like, share, and follow for more provoking conversation. Until next time, keep learning, keep speaking, and keep inspiring others. Goodbye. Allah Hafiz.